Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's so great to see you all here. Please stand and bow your spirit as we sing our gathering hymn, number 1010 in the Teal Hamlet. And whatever that word is. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Hillsborough. We are a congregation that is open to all who seek spiritual growth and community with others. Whoever you are, member, friend, or guest, and whatever brought you here this morning, we're happy that you're here today. Here at UUCH, we don't require that we all agree on a common set of religious beliefs. Instead, we strive to love, support, and encourage each other in our continuing individual quests for personal growth and understanding in matters of the heart and spirit. We aspire always to be an inclusive circle where all are welcome. My name is Lou Godot. I'm your worship coordinator today. I'd like to thank everyone who's made today's service possible. It's truly a gift of their love. I want to thank Aviva Enoch, our music director and leader of our worship team. I also want to thank Amy Dark, our newest team member, for creating the order of service, Casey Tharrington for handing it out, and also Steve Mahaley and Alex Mburo for managing our communications, and Jerry Morris for being our listening ear today. We're also very grateful that Reverend Holly Luck Sullivan is back again to be our speaker. Before we create our sacred space, let us take a moment to share announcements for the good of the community. If you have an announcement for the congregation, please come to the side microphone, identify yourself, and speak directly into the microphone. We also invite you to have refreshments with us after the service and encourage, never mind that part, we don't have to wear masks. Also, you might notice that we have 2 collection bins in the foyer. One is for packing materials to get collected and reused, and the other is for packaged food donations to take to Orange congregations in mission. Thanks for your generosity.
I'm Aviva. One of the hats I wear when I'm not here with you all is I lead Interplay, which is an active, creative way to unlock the wisdom of the body. And we create in the moment using stories, song, movement. And normally the group that I co-lead meets on the third Saturday of each month in Chapel Hill. But there's a conflict at our regular space, so we're going to be meeting right here at UUCH on Saturday, this coming Saturday. And so you all are invited. It's easy and fun and playful, and it's community, connection, creativity. All are welcome. Talk to me after the service if you would like to join us, or just show up. But if you have questions, talk to me after the service.
I'm Allison. I don't know where my name tag is today. The Justice team of UUCH helps us figure out who our community partners are. And since COVID, we've just kind of been rolling along with the same community partners year after year. So we want to make sure that we have a fulsome discussion about it this year before we make that decision. So we're going to have a town hall. It was announced in the e-news about how to join and when it will be. I think it's on a Monday, I think December the 12th. And so that's what the town hall is about. It's to discuss our justice initiatives, our community partnerships, and then the committee of the whole actually decides who our share the plate partners are, and we'll be holding a committee of the whole meeting in early January to make that decision. Okay.
The thing about masks is that they're a pain in the butt. Anyway, hi, I'm Patty O'Connor, and I'm on the fellowship team, and we need a coffee. Think about it. At the door, and they'll help you fill the pots and stuff. So it's not a. If we want to have a little social hour after the service. So think about it. I'll have my notebook out there on the coffee table if anybody wants to jot their name down.
Hi, my name is Stephen Haley. We have a brief meeting at 11:30 right after the service for those of us who are involved in the daycare exploration. So just want to remind those of you who are here that let's just meet back there in the classroom, I think. So, okay. See you then.
Hi y'all, I'm Amy, the program administrator here. I think I've met most of you. If not, come say hi. Even if I have met you, also come say hi. This is directed just at Allison. I'm kidding. Everyone, please wear your name tags, okay? I'm going to be working on some membership stuff and working on getting the directory and clearing out old name tags. So please put your name tags on when you arrive and remind your friends and Allison to do the same. Also, unless someone else is going to announce it, the Pathway to Membership class is after service today. Yep, here in the sanctuary. Yep. For anyone interested in membership, please join us. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Jerry, and I will be the listening here today. And if you have a need to speak to someone in confidence and like to spend some time talking about whatever it is, I'll be available.
Hello, I'm Alicia, and I want to remind you that on December 10th there will be an event here, which is my wedding to G. You are invited to attend, but it's a month away now, so if you plan plan to attend, if you could please RSVP if you haven't yet, to let me know that so I can get a head count. That would be excellent. Thank you.
So, since there seem to be no more announcements, let's prepare for worship and create our sacred space. Let's silence our cell phones and then worship mode. Orange County is in the green zone for COVID, so masking is optional today. Let's hold in our hearts that we are here together because we are a community of liberal and open-minded people who strive to connect with one another in love. This is called In Honor of First Steps by Reverend Scott Taylor. We light this chalice in honor of first steps, for beginning even when the path ahead is unclear, for the courage it takes to trust that the way will reveal itself, that light will come to clarify our vision, and that friends will be by our side. May the words, song, stillness, and common breath of this hour remind us that every step of the way is never one we take alone.
I'm a lot shorter than Lou, it turns out. Our opening words are by Maureen Killeran. We are called today, from the midst of pain and challenge, we are called to praise the world. From a world that appears broken, we are called to praise life's moments of joy and grace. From time that seems to freeze in ongoing exchanges of platitudes and blame, we are called to reach out to those around us, to connect with those we care about, to try to make amends with those from whom we are estranged. The world is too fragile. There is too much pain. Let us bring our hearts together on this day. Let us praise the mutilated world in all its blessing and its pain. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join me in hymn number 359, When We Are Gathered.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a sharing community where our joys are celebrated, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. Each Sunday we take some time to reflect on the special happenings that have occurred this week among our members and friends. Some choose to share aloud, while others choose to remain silent. Here we make room for both. For those of you who'd like to share aloud, please take a moment before we begin to center yourself and collect your thoughts so that what you share this morning is personal, heartfelt, and brief. Please come forward, tell us your name, and share what is in your heart. When you're finished, you may release a stone into the vase on the altar. those of you who prefer to silently acknowledge the joys and sorrows currently in your hearts, I invite you to come to the altar and release a stone into the vase in silence while the Viva plays Voice Still and Small. After everyone is seated, you're all invited to join in singing one verse of the hymn. The words are printed in your order of service. Time to sing the children to class. Let's sing Children's Blessing inside the back cover of the hymnal.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, ever adapting and renewing, we come together this morning with yearnings that do not match. We yearn for stability, for even one moment of feeling like we know what is going on, for the ability to predict and prepare for what is coming next. Yet we also yearn for change. We ache for a world that turns aside from racism, violence, dehumanization, and disregard for suffering. We pray for a change in the illness, grief, isolation, incarceration, and vulnerability of our loved ones. We reach for connections that will remind us that we are worthy as we are, and we reach for connections that will help us to become our best selves. Hold us in the heart of both and. Cradle us in the mystery. cherish us in the eternal presence of love, and encourage us on the path of growth and development. As individuals and as a people, help us to become who we are called to be. Lead us to open pathways to deeper wisdom through reconciliation, self-respect, and mutual respect, compassion, owning and making amends for our mistakes. Source of wonder, move us to express and live in gratitude for the beauty of this world, the loving people in our lives, and this day of possibility. To this we add the meditations of our hearts as we join in a moment of silence. Amen. I will begin by apologizing for the hard turn we're about to take, because sometimes when I'm choosing the elements of a service, I don't necessarily think through, we're going to go from the prayer to this beginning of a talk. So again, in advance, I apologize for the very hard turn we're taking. When I was 9 years old, the cartoon Jem and the Holograms took hold of my young psyche, where it lived for the 3 glorious years it was on TV. Jem was about the double life of record executive Jerrica Benton, whose father built a computer called Synergy that was the ultimate audio-visual entertainment synthesizer. It was 1985, I'm sorry. What that meant, basically, is that when Jerrica presses her star-shaped earrings and says, "It's showtime, Synergy," the computer projects a hologram that transforms Jerrica into Jem, a literal rock star. Jerrica has flat, short, blonde hair. Jem has big, long, pink hair and what passed for glam rock makeup on a Saturday morning cartoon. Jem is everything Jerrica isn't. Bold, brave, outspoken. In short, this might sound familiar if you lived through that cartoon. Jem is truly, truly, truly outrageous. And for an embarrassingly long time, that's how I imagined change worked. A few magic words and poof, you're a whole different person. To be fair to my younger self, that's the same reason so many of us like to buy lottery tickets, the promise of instant change. We imagine the problems an influx of money could solve or at least make better. There's certainly truth to it. There are many aspects of life that get a whole lot easier when we have money. As the Cyndi Lauper song taught us, money changes everything, right? The problem is we forget that whatever the cause, when everything changes, everything changes. How often have we heard cautionary tales of lottery winners who struggle with the changes the sudden money and media attention create in their lives? Distant relatives suddenly pop up and maybe you have a few bucks to spare. I see this in my work as a hospice chaplain, as I help families prepare for a loved one's death, and it plays out on a smaller scale. For so many of us, it seems the less wealth we have, the more contentious the proceedings about inheritance are likely to be. Of course, the last few years have shown us all how suddenly change happens. Change we have no ability to predict, much less to control. For me, my husband and I were returning from the first and only cruise we've ever taken when, unbeknownst to us, on Friday, March 13th, 2020, a national emergency was declared. Our ship came in on Saturday. We were extremely lucky to have been able to return to port and fly home before the shutdown. That Sunday, we went to our respective offices to retrieve our computers and anything else we needed to work from home. From there, remember how changes were both sudden and gradual at the same time? Suddenly, we ordered everything we needed online instead of just the stuff you couldn't actually find in a store. We bought and wore masks on the rare trip out to do grocery pickup. We skipped lots and lots of doctor and dental and eye appointments. We hung out with friends on Zoom instead of in person. I don't know about you, but I started to cook like 5 times as much as I had before. Gradually, over the first 6 months or so of lockdown, we figured out the right configuration for my husband and I both to work at home, creating spaces at opposite ends of our small house. And it took almost that long to get all the necessary equipment too. Headphones, USB hubs, additional monitors, a chair and a desk for me, a decent chair for him. We're lucky and privileged. Our jobs allow us to work from home. Chances are you went through something similar, the sudden, massive upheaval of your lives. Now, just 2.5 years later, it feels surreal. Last month, I went to a concert in Charlotte with 20,000 people. A friend and I were two of very few people there wearing masks. The pandemic offers so many examples of both the promise and the peril of change. We saw the promise early on when people put baskets on their porches filled with hand sanitizer, tissues, even toilet paper, free for the countless delivery drivers who are providing all of our daily necessities. We felt the promise as friend groups and family members checked in on each other and created drive-through celebrations when we weren't allowed to be physically together. That extreme disruption sparked lots of innovation, some of which we hold on to, like streaming services online, even when we're able to be in person. Hi, online friends. Watching online isn't the same worship experience, but it helps foster a sense of community for folks who aren't able to come or just don't want to. Online doctor appointments and therapy sessions are now almost as common for us as in-person ones are. Change holds both peril and promise. And sometimes how we experience it depends on the day, even the moment. I serve as chaplain to an 89-year-old woman whose illness is fully physical. Mentally, Mabel is as clear as any of us. She had lived in her senior community for about 9 years when we met, at the time that her kids were starting to make noise about her needing to move to a higher level of care. She was in the independent apartments, but because of her feelings about the director of the community, had absolutely no desire to move into her community's assisted living. What she wanted was to die there at home in her apartment, surrounded by friends who had become family in the years they had been together. But a year after we met, Mabel recognized that physically she's weaker than she used to be. Her energy runs out a lot more quickly. Her illness is progressing. She needed more help. So reluctantly, Mabel agreed to move, and she did, into an assisted living facility about a 10-minute drive from her old apartment. Those 10 minutes for Mabel might as well be 10 hours. Like Mabel, many of her friends can't drive anymore, so it doesn't matter that she's under 5 miles away from where she came from. Many of those same friends have hearing loss, so trying to talk on the phone is an exercise in frustration for everyone involved. The first time I visited Mabel in the new place, about a week after she moved, she couldn't keep from crying as she talked about how different her new facility is than her old apartment and that community. At the apartment, everyone left their front doors open, an unspoken invitation to all of the neighbors passing by to knock, stop in, and say hello. At the facility, most folks keep their doors closed to preserve what little privacy they have in this very communal living situation. That first visit after the move, Mabel said she didn't want to try to make friends in the new place, and she didn't plan to. I assured her that grieving the place and the life and the people she loved was understandable. I let her know I fully supported her desire not to make friends. It was too much to ask of herself too soon. 2 weeks later, I visited again, and Mabel was in a much better mood, seemed much more the woman I had grown to love, chatty, laughing, just in good spirits all around. She was looking at the facility's calendar of events to see what she was interested in going to, told me she had no interest in going to the church service despite her own deep faith because she had checked it out on one Sunday morning and there were like 2 residents there and she was not interested in being one of 3 people. She talked about other residents inviting her to various activities going on and the kindness being shown her by the staff. She said she decided she would try to make friends and be happy there. I supported that too. 2 more weeks go by, and Mabel was somewhere in between, She realizes she knows a few people at the new place from earlier in her life, so she's friendly with them. She has some people there. And she says she tried to have a good attitude about it, but she just can't anymore. Her family probably wouldn't appreciate this, but I supported her in that too. She's 89 years old. She can do or not do whatever she wants. She made the move to ease the burden of caregiving on her family. That was an enormous sacrifice for her. So if she doesn't want to put on a happy but false face about that, she has every right. This then is the peril of change. Mabel sacrificed a great deal of her own happiness for the sake of her kids' well-being. She wanted to reduce their stress. She knew that supporting her to the degree they needed to when she was in the apartment was hard on them, especially when she has a grandchild battling a severe illness of their own. She wanted to lessen the burden on the family. She did that. She doesn't have to pretend to like it. Often, change is subtle, sometimes even invisible. One day you realize the grief or heartbreak you once thought would kill you has stopped dominating your every thought. Parents aren't able to see their children growing before their eyes, but they see when the kids have outgrown clothes and shoes. One day you're mowing the yard in shorts and a tank top, and before you know it, you're wearing short sleeves while you rake the leaves and wondering why you're cold. Fall and spring, our transitional seasons, are those that help us most clearly see our planet's changes as we sail around the sun, but change is perpetual. We tell ourselves otherwise because our lizard brains, the parts of our brains that are really not well evolved, they crave the ability to feel safe. And to do that, we need stability, or at least the appearance of it. Most of us function best in periods of perceived stability. That's why these last few years have been so profoundly unsettling. Almost every aspect of our lives changed, at least temporarily, but we had no way of knowing if it was temporary, and if life is going to go back to the old way, when? So as the world slowly moves back into quote-unquote normalcy, it behooves us to remember that those of us with financial and social privilege benefit from a degree of stability on any given day that many people don't. Change is the only constant for those in marginalized and oppressed communities, from Orange County to the other side of the world. It's our job to use our privilege to support foundational change, structural and institutional reform that will ultimately provide more stability and safety for those on the margins. It will help to change the margins and bring more in. We do this with our votes, with our voices, with our feet, and with our finances. It takes more than saying some magic words or even buying a lottery ticket to change the world. But we already have many of the tools we need in our toolboxes. We vote, we work or volunteer as activists, we act with compassion, we march, we donate, goods or money. Just a few of the tools we use to make the inevitable change in our lives move in the direction we want it to fulfill the promise we see in it. One tool we need to work on adding to our box, though, is humility. At least for me. Tell me if any of this feels familiar. Of course we want to celebrate when things go our way, but we also have to have the humility to remember that something going our way means it didn't go someone else's way. An example. I firmly believe that granting consenting adults the right to marriage and all of the benefits thereof doesn't harm anyone or any institution. So I celebrated when in 2014 a federal circuit court ruling effectively struck down North Carolina's ban on same-sex marriage. But at the same time, plenty of people, those we live with, work beside, are related to, just as firmly believe that legalizing same-sex marriage devalued straight marriage. I've never understood that argument, but I don't need to. I only have to acknowledge, if only to myself, that sometimes what I believe brings more justice to the world, others see as a bad thing. Lots of people mourned when the same-sex marriage ban was struck down, even as most of us in UU congregations celebrated. More recently, the overturning of Roe v. Wade found me disgusted by photos celebrating the decision. I thought of women I know and love whose lives and families have benefited from their having had an abortion. I thought of the women predominantly young and poor, often women of color, who will no longer have access to a safe legal medical procedure. I thought of all that and was outraged by people celebrating this right is no longer federally protected. It outraged me because in their victory, they celebrated my defeat. Then I remembered the celebratory photos I saw when the same-sex marriage ban got knocked down. Photos I could very well have been in. And wow, did it not feel good to recognize in myself what I'm appalled by in someone else. So, humility. Sometimes what you believe is catastrophic, I believe is a step towards equity, or vice versa. Remembering how the other side may feel when things go our way isn't the easiest thing, but it is the most humane. It is another way to make the change we want to become part of the bedrock of our lives. We often hear Mohandas Gandhi quoted as saying, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." It's a wonderful quote, a sentiment we can all aspire to. But the full quote, including its male-gendered language, is this from 1913. "We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As a man changes his own nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards him. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and a source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do. We need not wait to see what others do. We must continue to do the work now because we live in a messy time. Here's the rub, though. As long as there have been people, people have lived in messy times. There are schisms in the United States that were, for an unforgivably long time, mostly ignored or literally and figuratively whitewashed. Thanks in large part to newer ways of connecting and communicating with each other, those schisms are increasingly obvious. They aren't new, they're just more blatant. It terrifies me to hear the rhetoric of white supremacists, anti-Semites, and election deniers, particularly if they're in elected office or other positions of power. And we can't forget that Gandhi, for all that he is revered, was also accused of sexually abusing female relatives and followers. His work in nonviolence is no less important or powerful because of that. He hurt people. Our heroes let us down because, like us, they are just people. People who are sometimes driven by passions they will not or cannot control. It's terrifying to me for people to, without shame, deny the democratic process. A process so important to Unitarian Universalists, it is enshrined in our fifth principle. But their doing so gives us this advantage. We know what we're up against in the fight for equity and freedom. Honestly, it's more than I thought. I believed better of people. And I implore us to continue to believe better of our fellow people and of ourselves, to invite everyone to betterment by believing it's possible. This then is where we have a choice: to allow fear to take root, or to continue to misquote Gandhi, to be the change we wish to see in the world. My prayer is that we can be the change by turning away from fear and peril toward promise and hope. The day we do will be truly, truly, truly outrageous. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
you, Holly. These are indeed difficult times, and in a certain way that kind of gives us hope, I think. Each week we take a monetary, oh sorry, would I skip something? Oh, okay. So each week we take a monetary offering to support our social justice work in the community. This support comes in the form of donations. The community partner we're sharing the collection with this month is Orange Congregations in Mission. OCIM operates a thrift store, a food pantry, and community support office, out of which Meals on Wheels operates in northern Orange County. UUCHers volunteer with Meals on Wheels, and we collect food for the food pantry. You may donate by going online to our website or using the Vanco app on your phone. You can also place cash or a check in the basket. If you write a check, please be so kind as to write the word plate in the memo line. Your generosity is much appreciated.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the world. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in
please join me in the prayer of collective gratitude found in your order of service. For the love that surrounds us every morning, for the friends beside us, and for the generous gifts just received, let us be truly grateful. Please stand in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, Let It Be a Dance, number 318.
311.
311.
Oh, 311.
Our closing words are by Emily Richards. May you leave this time together changed. May the promises you have made to yourself about who you want to be feel closer to the reality of who you are right now. May you share that feeling of transformation wherever you go. May it spread into every word, deed, thought, and interaction until we are all changed, transformed, and transforming together, becoming our better selves.
Altogether, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we're together again. Go in peace, my friends, and blessed be.
Or is it going to be